Hi everybody, it's Laura Susan Johnson again with period pieces. And I changed up the hue of this video. It's supposed to I'm sorry. I'm going to be laughing a lot during this video because I'm planning on doing a review of a movie that's fucking fucked up, funny, and I'm not drunk. I've only had one glass of Moscato, and I had it about 4 hours ago. It takes me a long time to do these videos, to edit the videos together, and to upload the videos to YouTube. Anyway, I changed the hue on this to green, so these nails are not really green, they're blue. Let me see if I can show you some proof. Let's see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this live. Is that good? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go and leave it back the way I had the original. This lipstick was given to me by my friend just the other day, and it's supposed to be a very beautiful pink, but right here it looks almost, like dark mauve or almost raspberry colored. Anyway, I'm sorry for laughing, but I've been wanting to review this movie for a very long time. I reviewed it on the IMDb in February of 2015, so about a year and a half ago. And this is the first time I'm gonna do a movie that I absolutely fucking hate. That I would give 0 out of 0 stars to. I watched this movie and I wish to God in heaven that I'd never fucking watched this movie. This movie is called Felidae. I cannot take one wasted piece of paper and paint of this movie seriously. And believe me, this movie was intended to be terrifying. If you have children, please don't let them watch this movie because it will scare the living apple juice piss out of them. It'll scare all cuts. It'll scare 50 shades of shit out of them. If I could describe this movie in one word, the first one would be nope. The second word would be shite. And the third one would be bollocks. Trust me, some yahoo in Germany decided, look, this movie's based on a novel, and I have never read this German novel. Okay, so I'm not, this review bears nothing on the novel. The novel is probably good. Who knows? Maybe the novel was an absolutely serious story. but this fucking movie is god awful. It's not good at all. It's not for kids. It's not for adults. It's not for anybody. It's not for anybody. The only one who would be entertained by it is some kind of insect crawling on your wall. And that's because they have no choice. Because it takes them 50 years to crawl up. It's so god-awful. I can't even begin to tell you how shitty this fucking movie is. And it's just, this is one of the best examples of animation does not equal family friendly. This has to be the most violent animated movie I've ever seen, and yet the most ridiculously stupid, incoherent, Bad! Laughably stupid movie I've ever seen. I watched it back in 2015, like I said, and I tried to post a real, like, user review on the IMDb, and it just wouldn't go through. So I went over the message board, and I just wrote, nope. Just fucking nope. It is just fucking horrible. The original movie is done by German actors, and it's not in English, but poor Carrie Elwes and I think Michael Madsen, and those are the only two actors I can remember. On the IMDb, there are no English actors credited, no American or English actors credited. So, fuck if you know, fuck if I know which unfortunate English-speaking cast members, aside from Madsen and Elwes, are in this fuck fest. I swear to Christ, I'm not drunk. This movie will make you drunk with absolute hilarity. It is so... It's such a cum... It's such a cum bucket of... If you want to laugh, but then again, I don't know if you'll laugh at it as much as scratch your head and say, what the fuck did I just watch? Where can I get the 90 minutes I just lost added back onto my lifespan? No. Why? No. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll try to get this under 30 minutes. This concerns... Well, okay, let me just start with a little personal history. I'm 46 years old. I'm an old hag. So I grew up on Watership Down. When I was 8 years old, it came out. And I didn't get to see it until we happened to rent it on VHS from the video stores in the good old days. Children, there used to be such a thing called a VCR. And VHS tapes that would kind of break if you tore them up a little bit too much. Well, I grew up on Watership Down to the point where I memorized every line of dialogue, and those animals were absolutely naturalistic. There was no anthropomorphization about them. I don't know if I'm saying that. They were not anthropomorphized. God, I can't fucking say that word. The other movie I love, Secret of NIMH. I was 12 when that one came out. That was after Watership Down. They were anthropomorphized. I cannot say that word. I know which word I meant. In other words, Mrs. Brisby. The book is Mrs. Frisbee. The movie is Mrs. Brisby. I don't know why they changed her name a little bit, but they did. Anyway, she was a little humanistic, where she would stand up on her two hind legs and walk humanly. And all the rats would, and, you know, Jeremy the Crow would. The rabbits in Watership Down, totally natural. Every animal in that movie, totally natural. They spoke English. They also spoke a rabbit language. You have to read the book to know all this shit. So, just go read the books I'm talking about. Don't listen to me babble. If you want to know more about Watership Down and Secret of NIMH, go read the books they're based on. But I have a feeling that this German animator, director, whatever, took this Felidae book by this German guy, and he says, I like Watership Down, and I like The Secret of NIMH, and I like those two movies so much, and I like this one book, Felidae, so much, I'm going to combine these movies all together and make this. I have a feeling that Felidae is this fucking... what was the word I just... Let me look it up real quick. It's like the two films I like got together and this mutant child came out. That's what I put on my review. I'm sorry, I have to refer back to these notes because, I'm not as clever talking as I am writing, and this is my notes from the IMDb review I did. Let me narrow this screen down and move myself aside just a little touch here. Okay. There is a lot of fucked up, crazy ass imagery in Felidae. If I were to give 1 star to Felidae, it would be for the Boy George song that is sung in this movie. I like it. The song is pretty. But the rest of the movie is absolutely batshit crazy. It concerns a cat by the name of Francis, voiced in the American or the spoken English language version by Cary Elwes. And he does this American accent, so it's pretty, no culturally kind of thing going on there. He does a good American accent just like he does his British thing. He's moving to a new city. There's really no location specified. It could be Germany, it could be England, it could be anywhere on the planet. He has this kind of a fat, lazy owner who writes, I guess, pulp fiction novels, pulp romance, something like that. I didn't quite catch it. And he's unfixed, of course. His lazy owner doesn't get his ass neutered. So he's free to roam the neighborhood, but no sooner does he get to know his new neighborhood or get out in his new neighborhood than he sees a dead cat out in the yard somewhere. And he meets this big ass, let me see, who's the guy that he meets first? It's Bluebeard, and I'm thinking Bluebeard. Okay, Bluebeard, I guess, is the one voiced by Michael Madsen. Not one of Michael. This is right. Oops, this is right up on par with Blood Rain as one of Michael Madsen's not brilliant moments. Michael Madsen, stick with Tarantino. Stay away from Uwe Boll, and please stay away from this guy who directed Felidae, for God's sake. Michael Madsen plays a cat named Bluebeard, and he meets. He's kind of a tough ass, he thinks he's like Michael Madsen himself. He's like this guy that you don't want to fuck with if you're smart. And, just like all of his characters he plays, he's a, foul-mouthed, kind of like a big, kind of a burly guy, and you don't want to fuck with him too much, so. And he happens upon this dead body of a cat right along with Francis. Francis is like, what happened to this cat? And, Michael Madsen's like, I think a can opener got to him, and like, what? And I guess in cat speak, that's what cats refer to humans as. We open cans of food for them, so they basically assume a mean, cruel human slashed this cat's throat. Okay, so there's that insanity. Sorry, I have to close out. I'll be editing this big time. Throat slit open. Bluebeard assumes it's one of the zillions of cruel human beings. And there are zillions of cruel human beings who do mean things to cats, mean things to dogs, mean things to bunny rabbits. Y'all know the drill. And I almost said to myself, this is not my cup of tea. I really should turn this off. I thought this might be a cute kitty cat animated feature, but even at my age, I should know, growing up on Watership Down and The Secret of NIMH, that just because it's animated does not mean it's for kids, and not meant for weak-hearted people like myself either, I can't stand animal cruelty. I couldn't even finish The Plague Dogs, really. I watched a lot of it, but it was just too much. And yet, this batshit insane piece of caca I watched all the way through. Well, you think that was crazy enough for them to find the body of a dead cat. I've come upon bodies of dead cats that just got ran over by cars, and that was sad enough. Well, you go on to, I mean, this movie has so much crazy and insane shit in it. It's almost too complicated to describe. You've got a cult of cats who worship this preacher who calls himself Claudinus or whatever, and he's got cats that are jumping into electric zappers that are zapping them to death. It's like the Jonestown cult or the Heaven's Gate cult of cats. They're all shouting hallelujah like they're a bunch of Christian cats. And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here? It's like, it's funny, but it's like, what kind of psycho wrote this, and what kind of fucking hallucinogenic drugs was he on? And I'm looking at the reviews on IMDb at the same time for this flick, and I don't see one review less than 7 stars. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is a bunch of shit. This is the hate child of The Secret of NIMH, and I hope I'm not spitting on my camera, but I mean, I can't believe it. Somebody's ripping off character designs. I mean, there's this one cat named Kong. He's this big ass, ugly. He doesn't look like a cat. He looks like a fucking bulldog. He has these weird little ears and a big jutting jaw. He has this big old chest, and he looks like the bulldog in the Looney Tunes cartoons, only not nearly as cute as the bulldog from the Looney Tunes cartoons. Where am I looking? He's just ugly as fuck. And his name is Kong. Kong, as in King Kong. Why didn't you call him Mighty Joe Young? Or what's any name from the Planet of the Apes, selection will do. How original, I said to myself. How fucking original. A cat gorilla. Somebody bred a cat with a gorilla and they named him Kong. I mean, ugly. Obviously, they drew their inspiration from Dragon, from The Secret of NIMH. That was an ugly fucking cat, to be sure, but at least it was feline looking. It was one of the ugliest cats ever, but it made Kong made Dragon from The Secret of NIMH look like Garfield, cute. And then you've got this Claudinus or whatever his name is. I mean, oh my God, what a wacko. This guy was like this preacher, and he's telling all these cats to jump into these electrical lightning bolts, man-made lightning bolts. And it's like, where is this shit coming from? Who wrote this, and why aren't they in some kind of insane asylum getting zapped themselves or put on Prozac or some kind of something? It was just creepy. It was a crock of excrement. This movie could have been anything good. It could have been so many things good, and instead it was everything but good. It could have been a statement on animal cruelty, and it was nothing but animal exploitation, just animated. It was torturous. It was exploitive. It was murderous. they had scenes of, you know, animals being tortured in a lab by this wackadoodle human being that Claudinus ends up getting revenge against, and then he turns into a nutcase that ends up murdering his own kind. It's weird. I don't know how to review it cohesively because it's not a cohesive film. There's too much in it that is so fucked up that I'm fucked up trying to review it. I just have to mention the kitty sex scene. There is a kitty sex scene. Now, this movie didn't appear to have a rating, aside from perhaps in America. I think they might have given it an actual R rating. And justly so. Not because of the sex. I'll get to that in a minute. But it is a violent fucking film. Not just because of the electric shocks and the weird-ass behavior and the torturous lab scenes and shit like that. I mean, this could have been a good movie like The Plague Dogs, even though that was too much for me. It could have been an animal rights thing like Plague Dogs, or it could have been animals talking about their own issues and their own, maybe human issues as depicted through animals, like Watership Down or Animal Farm. It could have been a lot of stuff, but it was just so much nonsense. It was just, It could have been something like The Secret of Nim, where it was like a story of a family, and then they end up having these compassionate people in their own community who at first don't want to give a shit about them, but then they find their own compassion that goes beyond human compassion, I think. That's what The Secret of Nim's about. It's like way beyond human compassion, because they were victimized by humans, and then they find it in them to help this mother mouse. I mean, all these wonderful, even though they're a little bit too adult for your little tiny kids, if you're a 12-year-old or maybe even an 8-year-old, you could maybe watch it with your parents and say, okay, I can get this, as long as it's got the happy ending, like Don Bluth always said. But this Felidae shit, I mean, it's got so many things going on, and not a one of them make a lick of fucking sense. Francis Cary Elway's character, he has these weird-ass nightmares about zombie cats. And just and bloody images, just bloody, just more blood was spilled in this movie than Watership Down. I mean, I thought the scene where Woundwort slaughtering Blackavar was bloody. I thought that was the most bloodiest scene ever depicted in animation on ink and paint. I thought that was so gruesome and so horrific. It didn't bother me, but I just knew as a child. I said that was truly, and I hated General Woundwort. Yeah, I mean, General Woundwort and Frank from Donnie Darko were two of the ugliest motherfucking rabbits I'd ever seen in my life. But I hated General Woundwort. Getting back to this wretched piece of shit Felidae, there is so much gore and blood and just straight up nastiness and hatred against one's own kind, and absolute, just utter, insane nonsense. A cat watching his owner type at a computer and then learning to type at a computer. Cats cannot learn to type actual words and learn databases at a fucking computer. Cats are cats. The most things that my cats do at computers is jump on my computer to get me away from my computer to pay attention to them. They dance all over my fucking computer until I have to blow the damn cat hair out of the keyboard. Cats are very clever creatures. Don't get me wrong. I love them. I love everything about cats. I love how they refuse to fucking kowtow and slobber on you the way dogs do. But cats are not intelligent enough to learn how to access a database full of the neighborhood cats that they are planning to murder. Claudidinus, according to this dumbass story, is accessing a keyboard and a database full of cats that he wants dead. And his elaborate plan? He wants to repopulate the neighborhood with a species that he considers more pure feline. The ancient cats of Egypt. The beautiful, like those pashed goddesses that they worshipped in ancient Egypt. Those beautiful, bizarre-looking cats. Like Catwoman, zombie, whatever things they were, you know. So here comes the sex scene. Oh, fuck. You wanna talk about don't let your fucking kids watch this one? The nostalgia critic would definitely agree with me on this, because I've often found myself saying, oh, come on, nostalgia critic, don't be such a prude. They're just duck tits. Oh, nostalgia critic, come on, they're just women's boobies. Big whoop. Well, try watching Carrie Elways's cat. He catches a scent in the air. Oh, de kitty cat in heat, shall we say. And she's laying over there and she's rolling around suggestively. I'm in heat. What are you going to do about it, big boy? And you got your fucking porno music going, man. I'm talking porno music. Whoa. This should have had a fucking triple XXXXXXX rating, not an R. And if it's over in England, it should have said 25 plus. Not even 18, rated 18 or rated 15. Rated 25 for sexual content. And I do mean Felidae, man. And he mounts her and he fucks her blue. Come on, pork away, pal. So that was really, I mean, I am so glad I watched this with my earphones in late at night with nobody. And I mean, can you imagine a little kid sitting there with their parents watching that? Oh my God! That was the most hilariously bad sex scene. I mean, this makes 70s, tacky 70s porn look like Mary Poppins. It was so bad. Oh God. I mean, it's just Carrie Elways fucking some cat, some weird ass, like, we are Siamese, only she looked even weirder than they did. And she was like, she is the Felidae. She is like, that's what the title comes from. She's like the original, like, small cat that the Egyptians tamed or whatever and made into their pets. And that's where our little kitties come from. From those big giant lions and tigers, they had those little itty bitty kind of funny looking big old ears and funny looking tilted eyes. And Carrie Elways is fucking one of them, and they both like finish. Oh yeah, in the grass. And so, I mean, it is really, really, really awkward. And I'm like sitting there and like, damn, I'm glad my nephews aren't sitting here watching this with me. I'm so glad. Boys, I'm sorry. Oh, God. Oh, boy. I'm so glad. I'm so damn glad. Oh, that was painful. It was painful. It was like, nope, no, do not want, no, survey says, ah! So anyway, after that's over, I'm sure she's preggers. And honestly, not being a prude or anything, because I do write gay fiction that has gay sex scenes in it, but that's just like, this is an animated movie we're talking about here. And there's people on IMDb that were saying, well, that sex scene went a little too far. Yeah, it kind of was a little weird, but what about all the butchering and all the blood and all the... There was this scene in the finale. I want to close this because this is already fucking creepy going on this long about this I've given this way too damn much attention. At the end, they find out, and I will post the spoilers as I've always said. At the beginning, I'll put the spoiler alert. So it's up to you. It's all your fault if you watched it knowing the spoilers were there for you to see. At the end, they find out that Claudidinus, the one that was typing at the keyboard like he was a person, but he was a cat, planned all these murders of all these common cats so that he could repopulate the neighborhood and the world. I want to take over the world sooner or later. He was on his way out. He was dying of old age, but he had a plan in action. He wanted to rid the world of ordinary house cats and ordinary regular domestic cats and have those perfect Felidae. And all the while, Francis, Carrie Elway's our hero. He's the one that's like being the sleuth in the neighborhood, trying to track down what's going on, who's murdering, slitting the throats of all these cats. It's this Claudidinus. He's murdering cats by brainwashing them with this crazy-ass religion of his, like shocking them to death. He's revenging against man for torturing him in a lab somewhere. It's like Secret and M Part 2, where Martin turns into a nutcase that turns men into dogs. I mean, that made no fucking sense. I wonder if it's the same director as this shit. And, Claudidinus turns out to be a crazed, power-hungry nutcase, kind of like Khan, where he's like into what's it called, eugenics, like old genics, new genics, eugenics. He wants to get rid of what we have now to bring back the old and make it new again. You know what I mean? So he got this cat, this female cat who Carrie Elway's fucked, basically, to lure him. And her name is definitely an Egyptian name. I couldn't pronounce it to save my ass. I just called her Cleopatra. So Carrie Elways fucks Cleopatra. She's probably pregnant. He's been like, at the end, he's all pissed off. He fights Clodidinus, who's an old goat. And Clodidinus has some abdominal scarring from all these terrible experiments that were done to him. But the way, during this one scene in the fight that does Clodidinus in, Carrie Elways, Francis, he barely claws him. You'd think Carrie Elways was fucking Freddy Krueger, because he claws him and his whole stomach rips open and his bones fall out. And then he's still talking. He's been eviscerated. Practically his whole body volume's worth of blood is all over the floor. I mean, this is a gory flick. Saw ain't got nothing on this. And Carrie Elways' character, he's like against Clodidinus he's against the cause of Clodidinus, which is to murder these innocent cats who have done nothing, who have never harmed a soul, because he wants to repopulate the world with all these perfect Egyptian cats. And then at the end, Francis completely retracts his moral statement against Clodidinus after he kills Clodidinus. He basically, just tears his guts out. But at the very end, he's following little Miss Cleopatra. She's in heat, again. Come, big boy, let's have another fuck fist. And as he's narrating the end, he says, maybe we should go back to being Felidae. And then the end credits are rolling. It's like, oh God, I want my 90 minutes back, and I never will get them. This movie, people, if you've seen it and you liked it, I don't know what idiot bus you're, I don't know. I guess I have to respect your opinion, but I really, how can you compare masterpieces like Animal Farm, Watership Down, The Plague Dogs, The Secret of Nim, any of the greats with this piece of shit? And I'm not saying anything against Germany. Nothing. It's not about Germany. It's not about the author of the novel. The novel might be good. I've never read it. But the movie is it's horseshit. Horseshit is too kind of a word. I'm going to include some still captures from this, and hopefully they'll let me stay up on YouTube. But I'm telling you, I've never seen Food Fight. They say that's the worst animated movie ever made in the history of mankind. Well, maybe they're right. But until I see Food Fight, I declare Felidae the worst animated movie ever made in the history of mankind. It is that fucking bad. I've been Laura Susan Johnson, and I hope you'll join me for our next installment of Period Pieces. I'm not drunk, really. See? I've got a fresh glass right here. Haven't hardly touched it. Bye.